Welcome to SATU TV. I'm Billy Bates.
I'm Jones McShine. We are Static in the Underground. It's Volume 1, Bill.
Yeah, first episode. 1. Been talking about doing this for over a year now.
Yeah.
And, basically, this being our first episode, we're just getting our feet wet.
We're winging it, man.
Yeah, winging it. We've got a couple things we'll want to talk about, but, eventually, if this keeps going well, we'd like to do a more in-depth podcast, have more relative topics, maybe guests, music artists, professional wrestlers,
promoters, comedians,
venue owners,
all of it.
Little everything.
Yeah.
Not gonna exactly say this is a comedy podcast because we're not trying to be funny, but maybe there'll be a couple laughs here and there.
I can guarantee it. We're kind of dumb, but we will try our best to be comedic, informative. I think that's what they call it.
Yeah, you got me on that one. But eventually after we get the hang of this thing, and it can maybe become more than what it is. But just for now, we're just gonna talk around, try to get some conversation going about topics because we're homies. And Unfortunately now we don't get to hang out that much anymore. No. So whenever we do get together, it's pretty much just catch up on the gossip and all the news and all that good stuff. But yeah,
honestly, like now we get together basically just for shows, and we'll do a 2-hour drive without cutting on the radio. Just talking and saying, man, if there was a camera up in here right now, we could edit this thing. We might have some content for y'all.
Yeah.
So here we are, bringing it to you.
One thing that's going on right now, music venues, especially non-corporate music venues, the venues that have most of the time less than 2,000 capacity, even into the hundreds, really small venues. Man, COVID, even though it was 3 years ago, it still has an effect on these small businesses, restaurants and whatnot. But music venues and restaurants, I believe, suffered the worst. The country shutting down and all that craziness that happened 3 years ago, but it's definitely more than half, but definitely closer to 3/4 of the music venues that aren't around anymore.
No, they're not. And the ones that are still around, they've relocated, tore down the old, the old sites where the venues were at. And even though it's still cool to have those, it's just not the same.
Right.
And like, I remember it started whenever we first started to go back in some history. Tremont Music Hall was the big venue in Charlotte that booked locals, that booked independent artists and gave them a platform to perform on stage with national touring artists. They shut that down, man, and it was just the start of everything. And COVID definitely made it a lot worse. And at that time, independent artists were starting to get the hang of like the new way to promote yourself on the internet. Because back when we started, it was still hand out flyers, sell tickets to get on shows and things like that. And we had a pretty good looking tour that we were going to have, but COVID shut all of that down. And even when things opened back up, they were trying to keep down the capacity. So not putting independent artists or local artists on shows helped with that, which if you have a business like that where your goal is to fill it up, but you're told like, hey, you can't.
Right.
But you still have to pay the same bills that also went up throughout all this, but you have to cut capacity and have it. It hurt bad, man. It sucked. It still sucks.
There were a few venues that survived, but even like John said, they're either having to relocate or, they're still recovering from, all the lost money from when they had to shut down. But, talking about Tremont, that was before COVID, but that was even, like you said, it really started back then. These non-corporate venues, one way or another were having to shut down or sell. And, Tremont and the Masquerade in Atlanta shut down around the same time.
Yep.
And both of them were for the same reason. I believe the city was expanding. And they had to take the property, to expand for, housing. And I think Masquerade, that's where the Atlanta Hawks and Falcons' new stadium's built is around that area. I think that was the reason the Masquerade had to be sold. But
that makes sense.
Yeah, it was wild.
I haven't been by the old Tremont site in a while, but it was like a year after they demolished the thing. It was still just sitting there like bricks on the ground. They hadn't even done anything with it.
Yeah, it did take them a while because whenever they shut down, they were making it seem like they were, going to start building right then on that property. But
it was like it had to happen that day.
Yeah,
remember we went to the last show that they did, which was like an all day thing, and the very next morning they started tearing it down.
Yeah, that was, I believe now that property is apartments or apartments or condos. But it was very upsetting whenever those music venues shut down, because those were, Tremont was home for any underground artist that was making music at the time. That was their home venue. Tremont had been there for, I think, 30 years, wasn't it? Something like that.
Something like that. I don't know for sure, but I've been there. All the good shows came through there, man. Especially like in our genre of music, like the best bands, and it was so inexpensive. You're talking about like $15, $20 tickets.
Yeah, I think the most I ever spent for a show at Tremont was $20, and it was
sold out ICP.
Yeah, something like that.
Crazy.
Yeah, that was a rough day whenever we had to go to that last show at Tremont, because we just knew it was shutting down.
It's gonna be like that in New Brooklyn, dude.
Luckily, they're moving to a venue that's not that far away and that's actually bigger. But just the sentimental value of that building, I've been going to shows there since I was 12, and back in like 5th and 6th grade, and just seeing so many big acts before they were popular back then.
Dude, Taking Back Sunday came through there.
Taking Back Sunday.
In This Moment.
My Chemical Romance played there in 2002 on their first tour. I've seen In This Moment open up for Norma Jean back before In This Moment, where it was even playing Warped Tour. And
that's insane.
Yeah, A Day to Remember, saw them when I was 12. At New Brooklyn, there was like 10, 15 people there. It was a free show. Didn't even cost to get in.
Mosh and all that.
In 2016, me and you went and saw Bad Omens when they only had 20 people there, and now they're selling out arenas.
Dude, was
summer.
They not opening for Body Snatcher that night? Or am I thinking
Body Snatcher was opening for them.
Oh, man.
No. I apologize. It was Oh Sleeper. It wasn't Body Snatcher.
There you go.
Body Snatcher opened up for Filth the next month after that. Filth has gone viral on TikTok.
Yeah.
With their
Let's go.
With their oh man, what's the name of the song?
It was a Chin Check. Was the first one.
Yeah, Chin Check. Great song.
Dude, so good.
Yeah, look up Filth, man. Those are some of the homies. Great band.
So good.
Yeah. Another band that has basically grew up in New Brooklyn Tavern.
Yeah.
Filth. Back in the day when I was in middle school, it was Stretch Armstrong was the big band, and they played at New Brooklyn like once a month, and it was great. That was
awesome.
But like we said, they're moving. They're going to be in 5 Points at the old Cotton Gin.
Yep.
And I talked to the bartender at New Brooklyn the other night when I was there, and she said the new capacity is going to be at least 500 people. So it's doubling capacity.
And that's good. That's not too much.
Right.
That's not too much. I was concerned that they was going to move to a space that was going to be too big for bands to actually sell out. And then it would kind of hurt the local scene. But that'll be good, man.
I think
parking's going to suck.
Yeah. So if those of you who don't know, in the Columbia area, 5 Points is it's pretty much the college party area.
Yeah, it's the college area. It's right there downtown where the university is.
Yep, it's where St. Patty's Fest is every year, and it's multiple bars all right next to each other. So parking is going to be a little aggravating at the New Brooklyn Tavern, but hey, that ain't slowing me down from going.
No, we're going. I think we said we got a buddy that lives out there somewhere.
Yeah, I've got a friend that lives out that way, so we'll probably just park at his house and then Uber to 5 Points.
And I promise you, like, if people start going to shows out there and they start selling out, the people that live around there will give you like a $5 parking place for 4 hours while you go to a show.
That.
Like, they do that. They do that at games too. So it's going to change some things if we actually get some people going out there and attending these shows, which I'm sure it won't be a problem. What do you think?
Yeah, like I said, I don't think it's going to slow anybody down from going to shows, but it is going to be a little bit more difficult on the Friday, Saturday shows. Yeah, to get parking. But
those Sunday shows though that New Brooklyn does, like, those are going to be awesome, man.
Yeah,
as long as they keep them Sunday shows going, that's going to be dope.
Yeah. And
I'm going.
Yeah, for sure. As long as I'm alive, I'm going to try my best to help keep that venue open. I know that much. So
they were the first venue that let SATU book a show there. We did our first show as an actual company there, man. That was
great night.
Sick,
that was a great night. If we had to rank our shows that we've ever done, that was probably be my number one.
That was a good one, man.
Yeah.
That was I
great.
debuted all the hate, love, drug stuff.
Yeah,
that night.
It was. Yep.
It went good, man.
We had our buddies of ours in a band that was called We As a Species. Unfortunately, they're not together anymore, but man, that was a great Columbia band that played New Brooklyn Tavern often. And then, so it was them, and then it was us. We had a great set. Everybody was hyped.
Sick. It was our first full set, like 45-minute hour set.
All the homies was out there. It was great. And then we had Angry Chair, our buddies in an Alice in Chains tribute band out of Charlotte. We had them headline. Man, it was a wild mix. A metal band, hardcore hip-hop act, and then Alice in Chains cover band. But
it was so dope.
It was so fun. It was such a great night, and that was definitely one of my favorite shows we ever done.
So thank you to New Brooklyn Tavern for that.
The few venues that are still open that aren't corporate, which we're not hating on corporate venues. We still like going. You know the bigger bands and acts, they can't play these small venues. They have to play bigger spots. Right. And unfortunately, most of them are corporate owned, but I'm not hating on them. They got to get their money. I do wish they would slow down on some of those fees online, but
the online fees are crazy.
Yeah.
And we need to get more locals on shows.
Yeah.
At some of these.
100%.
You know what I mean? I mean, locals are really going to do the groundwork. They're going to promote.
Yeah.
They're going to put the word out there, because there's some shows, and I'm not going to lie, they happen and I look it up and it already passed. It was 2-3 days ago. So I'm wondering who's doing the promotion for this. You know what I mean? Maybe it's just not in my algorithm, but I don't see why it wouldn't be. Right. Because it used to, everything that came through.
Yeah. And that was back in the day. That was how these national touring acts would do. They would do all these cities, and in each city they would have at least one local opener, and they would tell them, hey, if you want to open up for us, promote the show, sell tickets, and then, come out. And I think it worked out great for both sides.
And it made us as artists want to work harder. Right. Because they put on 5 locals, right? Right. Be like, all right, well, whoever sells the most tickets, that's who gets the good lineup spot. You know, so you go out there and you really grind, and then you put together a team just to work for you and help you sell tickets. And then let's say, oh, you and your boys on a show together, we got to try to outsell each other in tickets. But still, you build a good friendship and business relationship to where, hey, I'm opening this show. Well, you and your team help me sell tickets for me so I can, make this happen. And that's how it was back then. And now it's just so separated. Like, who's going to be the most popping on the internet?
Yeah. And
which is good.
It is, but it's like you said earlier with the whole, the computers and stuff now, the social media, it's a lot easier to promote.
But it's also a lot harder though too. The longer this is going on, because when it first started, it was easy to get on there and figure this thing out, and now it's like everybody has a grasp on it, and it's constantly changing. It's hard to keep up with. Yeah,
and then you'll have situations where I know I was at a show recently, and I'm an old school promoter. I go to the venue that I've got a show at coming up, and I pass out flyers, tell people who's there about the show. And this last show I went to, handing out flyers, I can't tell you how many people were like, oh man, this is awesome. Exactly. This is old school. I got an actual little handheld flyer now.
Shaking the hand with the promoters about to do a shot. This is great. I definitely want to come to this guy's show. And
I had 2 different guys say, oh, you book shows here. Here's my band's page,
That's the best.
And that's awesome.
Dude, there's so many, especially in hardcore right now, dude. Every band is off the chain.
They're so good. There's no bands that are better than the next.
Like, they're all on my everyday playlist. Like, my Spotify hardcore playlist is just like, click it and let it take me wherever it wants to take me. And every time I hear something different, I'm like, all right, add that band, follow that band, follow that band. And they're all good. Like you said, nobody's better than the next. It's all about what you like, but it's all good, man. So good.
The metal scene in the Carolinas was so big in the late 90s, early 2000s with Stretch Armstrong and, love them or hate them, Crossfade coming out of Columbia. There was a great music scene, especially in Columbia. And at the time, I didn't know much about North Carolina music scene. But in Columbia, that scene started going down. There was a venue called Headliners in Columbia that shut down. You know, whenever that place
Headliners was
whenever
the spot.
that place shut down, the music scene in South Carolina started going down. But here in the last 5 years before COVID started, the music scene in the Carolinas, especially in the hardcore metal scene, has gone nowhere but up. Straight up.
It's like you see a show promoted, right? And it's a hardcore show, and there's 5 bands on it that you've never heard of. If you're off work, you're going to that show because you know it's going to be good.
And it's only $10.
It's $10.
Let's be
15
honest.
bucks.
You'll never
You got $40 to get beers, man. Have a good time with the boys. Like,
whenever you can go to a show with $50 and get in
ball
and
out.
have 3 or 4 drinks
and get
on
a
top
shirt,
of that,
dude.
what are you talking about, man?
Come on.
And you get to hang out with the band at these small venues.
Yeah, you get to meet them, shake their hand, and then like, oh, this is, being promoters and trying to keep the scene moving forward. Like, hey, we're Static in the Underground.
Yep.
Y'all are fucking awesome. Like, how can we work together?
Yeah. And we got a little off track there, but stayed on subject. We were talking about the fees and how,
Oh, yeah.
But really, we go back to that one point that started that whole conversation right there. Is national acts, we get it. You don't care one way or the other, but please put locals on your show.
Put them on.
Let them open.
Let them open the show.
It's so simple.
Make sure they're good, obviously.
Yeah. Don't just put.
Do your homework. Because we've seen some debacles.
Right.
And that's not good for the scene. So do your homework. Put the locals on. If they're selling tickets and they have a following, you'd be surprised at how many people that wouldn't go to that show that are going to go because their boys' band is up there. Their favorite local band is up there. They want to support.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. It's good for everybody. It's definitely good for the scene. Like just think about it. If every venue, every promoter stopped using local openers, who's the next headliner? How are you ever going to know?
Right. And so, before COVID, whenever we first started going to shows together, man, every show had a local opener on it.
Everyone. Multiple.
Yeah. And it's just, it's wild that, how it's changed so fast.
Yeah.
But it's, it can come back. It can go back to the good ways. Hey, as long as we're doing shows, we're going to have local openers, baby.
I'm telling you what, you see.
We may be local openers ourselves, but we're going to have local openers.
That's right. Because, dude, if you think about, like, Filth, like, how many times have we seen Filth, like, go on first?
Dude.
You know what I mean? And look at them now.
Yeah, Violent Life, Violent Death, dude. They should never open up for anybody.
Yeah, nah. Violent Life, Violent Death is sick, dude. If y'all ain't heard of Violent Life, Violent Death,
my favorite band out of Charlotte
check
right
them
now.
out, dude. They're awesome.
And that's saying something because I love a lot of bands in Charlotte, but Violent Life, Violent Death's my favorite at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, love those guys. Shout out, look them up. Violent Life, Violent Death on all social media.
Now, while we're talking about Charlotte artists, how about T Woo's band, dude? Like, you can't say enough about them, dude. They're so good, man.
Yeah,
the coursing.
Great. They got the music, the look,
all of it.
They got gimmick, it's all great.
Their social media, their advertising is great.
Great stage presence, man. Those guys are great. And I'm planning on getting those guys on a show next year for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The coursing, check them out as well.
Yeah, they're great. So many good local bands.
Mm-hmm.
Just go to in the Carolinas, go to any non-corporate music venue's Facebook page and just look at their shows. And it's all great artists,
All of them.
But
highly recommend it. Just pull up to a show to bands that you haven't heard of with an open mind. Best time you're gonna have.
Yeah. Yeah, shout out to music venues.
Yeah, shout out to the music venues.
Keep toughing it out, man. We're gonna get through this.
It's rough.
Yeah, we're gonna get through this though. But yeah, man. Speaking of music and technology, did you see the Beatles got that new song out? I
saw that the Beatles put out a last Beatles song?
Yeah, so
I saw that, but I didn't look into it much.
It's the final song of the Beatles ever. And it's called, let me double check to make sure. I believe it's called Then and Now. I'm pretty sure or Now and Then. But the way that they did this song is amazing. So,
which is something, because I know you're not the biggest fan of the Beatles.
I respect the Beatles.
Yeah.
I've been to Liverpool and been to the Beatles Museum, and that made me get a respect for them that I didn't have. But not for me. Beatles music, not for me. That's just my opinion. But yeah, so apparently when John Lennon died, his wife found 3 recordings that he had on a handheld recorder where he had just pressed record, sat it on his piano, and played and sang, right?
Okay.
And it was 3 songs. And when he passed away, she got with Paul McCartney, and they had the 3 recordings. And in 1995, I believe it was 1995. I know it was the mid-90s. I'm 90% sure it was 1995. They tried to make a song with one of his recordings. There was one that they really liked, and it was Then and Now, or Now and Then. I apologize. It's one of those. And they were in 95. They tried to make a song with it, but the technology wasn't there to just pull his vocals because it was a terrible recording.
Right.
They couldn't isolate the vocals in 95. So they said, we'll sit on this until the technology is available to be able to do that. And last year, Peter Jackson, the director of the Lord of the Rings franchise, developed an AI technology that they can use to single out John Lennon's vocals on this terrible recording. And because of Peter Jackson, the guy who directed the greatest movies of all time.
Shout out to the Hobbits.
Yeah.
Shout out to the Shire.
Lord of the Rings. I mean, what are we talking about? Anyways, because of him, they're able to isolate John Lennon's vocals, and then Paul McCartney and
is it Ringo?
Ringo, the other living member, they make this song together. And it's the final Beatles song, and dude, it slaps.
I haven't listened to it.
It's good, man. It's a good, soft,
I'm gonna have to listen to it.
Feel-good song. Yeah, it's got a great music video, which was directed by Peter Jackson.
A music video.
And this AI stuff, it scares me a little bit.
Let me tell you,
with being able to, have Kurt Cobain make a new song, and it sounds just like him, or at least close enough to fool you. And
produced by Artificial.
That AI technology scares me, but the fact that this AI technology was able to help them make a song with an actual recording from John Lennon, that's pretty sick.
That's the thing about it. Like, if everything's used correctly, like, it's a great thing to have. But some of these songs, like you were talking about, like, I heard they did a AI put Lane Staley's voice on Alice in Chains recordings, like, after he passed. Dude, it's the craziest sounding thing, man.
Yeah, they'll have brand new Juice WRLD songs that are AI.
And it's just weird,
and it's creepy, man. It's and who
gets the money for this stuff? Because and if anybody knows, like, please comment, like, let us know, because we're just trying to figure this thing out as well. But I wonder if you own an AI program, right? Like, you pay for it. I'm guessing, like, you would have to pay like Pro Tools, right, Troy? Like, something like that, like, a quarterly or monthly thing. Then you own that program. So if you make something with somebody else's voice, but it's not actually them, can you sell that?
I have no idea.
You know what I mean? Like,
I would think.
And if that went to court,
I would think not, because, for instance, if it was like, a new Juice WRLD or a new Mac Miller,
right?
If they put his name on it, Miller,
you're right. Yep.
So I'm not sure, but I believe that that's something we might need to discuss about going to court in the future to have it to where it's illegal for people to use AI to make a deceased person's new song, or there's somebody had a Drake song that dude, it slapped. It sounded like Drake. It sounded like something he would put out. That
shit did. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah. So,
dude, there was a Kanye one that was going around on TikTok.
Yeah,
bro.
It slapped. It was the illest verse Kanye ever wrote.
That's what I'm saying. Like, Kanye, I know if Kanye saw that, he'd have been like, "Yo, what the hell?"
Yeah.
Like, that's the illest stuff. That's the illest thing I could have ever said.
Yeah, but hopefully they can figure something out with that to kind of limit what people can do with AI, especially whenever it comes to music.
Yeah, man.
But because it's already hard enough to write your own music.
You gotta protect the artist, dude.
Yeah.
You gotta protect. Speaking of protecting the artist, this is off topic, but have you seen this Tory Lanez and Megan Thee Stallion thing that went down?
He's in jail for shooting her in the foot, right?
Yeah, they have.
And it happened a while ago,
dude. I didn't realize how long ago it was.
Right.
But you gotta protect the artist. Gotta protect the artist. That one had me baffled, dude. I don't know who's telling the truth. and who ain't. But they both got the bad end of the stick on that one. But
I say Megan Thee Stallion's doing great.
She's doing great. She's
Tory Lane's not so much.
So if we owned AI right now, we would make a song that's Megan Thee Stallion featuring Tory Lanez. Could you imagine the song that AI would pop out, bro? Dude, that would be good.
That would be pretty
funny.
That'd
be funny. But we're gonna protect the artist.
Yeah.
Let's steer away. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the other thing that we know about that's not music.
Which one?
Well,
football?
Well, do we give Florida State that 4th spot because they deserve it for being undefeated ACC champions? Or are we saying it should be the 4 best teams? Because I believe if you say that, Georgia would have to be in there somewhere as well.
That's the thing, because
they lost to a number 8 Alabama ranked 2nd. Could have been ranked 1st, in season. Like, that can go back and forth. But what do you think about it?
I'll tell you what, next year with the 12-team playoff, we're not going to have these problems.
Not going to have this problem. Everybody's going to get their chance. Yeah, and it's a big one. Like, it couldn't have been tighter this year.
Yeah, with, Alabama beating Georgia, that was, I wouldn't say it was a shock, but I wouldn't put money on that,
I felt like it could go either way, 50-50. Alabama's been playing good ball.
Last year, Georgia was without a doubt the most dominating team. They were so good last year. And this year, they clearly, in my opinion, weren't near as good as they were last year, but they were still the best team in the nation.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't hate that they put Alabama in the playoff, because I do think they're one of the top 4 teams right now.
Like, if you lined up Alabama and Florida State right now, Alabama would wash Florida State.
Yeah, and it's a big reason because Florida State's quarterback's out.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, it is. And that changes things. That's probably one of the things that
I think that's 100% one of the things. I think the fact that without their starting quarterback, they struggled to beat Florida. Mm-hmm. It wasn't really a struggle, but it was a closer game than it should have been. And then I thought they should have drugged Louisville.
Yeah, but I tell you what, their defense did.
Oh, yeah.
That defensive line, man, they was playing NFL-looking ball. It looked like they were playing against a high school line.
Yeah, I think Michigan's got the best defense in the nation, and Florida State's right behind them. Yeah, right behind them.
Florida State has a national champion defense.
Right.
They do.
And I hate it for Florida State, because I know their fans are so happy to go undefeated. The last time they were undefeated was when they won the national championship in 2014.
Jameis Winston, wasn't it?
Right.
Kelvin Benjamin.
Yep.
That was a good game.
And I feel bad for them.
I do too.
I'm glad I'm not a Florida State fan, because I would be very upset. Man. Very upset.
That's how I think about it. I put myself in the fan shoes. Like, how would I feel?
Right. So they got Michigan at 1. I think that's clearly yes. I think they're right with that.
Mm-hmm.
Washington at 2. I agree.
Washington looks undefeated, good, man. Undefeated.
Beat, Oregon twice in 1 year. And Oregon was without a doubt the number 2 team in the Pac-12. That's for sure. Yeah. That's 100%.
Oh, yeah.
So 1 and 2, I think they got right. 3, they got Texas.
I didn't think Texas was. I didn't expect that. I don't know. Maybe I didn't look at it right, but
I knew that the fact they beat Alabama this year was a big reason with that.
Especially with when Alabama won the SEC, that definitely helped.
Their one loss was to Oklahoma during the Red River rivalry, which I believe was week 3 or 4. So that was early in the season. Yeah. So I don't hate that Texas is up there, but I think Alabama's better than Texas, even though Texas beat them this year. That sounds wild, but that was so early on in the year.
Yeah.
And Oklahoma beating Texas. Oklahoma has lost 2 other games this year.
And is Arch Manning QB1 right now for Texas?
No. I think he's still second string. Okay. He's going to take over next year, though, for sure. But I don't hate the 4 teams they picked, but I do feel bad for Florida State.
I do too, man.
I think if Texas or Alabama would have got left out,
yeah,
Florida State would have definitely would have been in there. But people saying that Georgia should be in, I don't agree with that.
What if Oregon would have beat Washington?
That would have been. I think. I don't know. That would have been tough too.
That's tough, right?
And that was the worst case scenario was for the absolute worst case scenario for the committee would have been for Michigan to lose to Iowa, Florida State to win against Louisville, which they did, Alabama to beat Georgia, which they did, and then Oregon to beat Washington. That would have they would have had 8 teams that they didn't know who was the top 4, you know. But that didn't happen.
No. And Florida State is not in it.
I don't hate the 4, but I feel bad for Florida State. And if Florida State would have been in instead of Alabama or Texas, I would have said okay. I get it.
When I woke up this morning and saw that Alabama was 4, I did not know how they jumped from 8 to 4.
Yeah, and my thing was if
not with Florida State pitching a shutout.
Some people will say that it's because they're the SEC and they always want one SEC school in there, and it's like you're not wrong, but most of the time one SEC school is one of the best teams in the country. Yeah, one of the top 4s, and
even with a loss or 2.
Right, and the way Alabama was able to beat Georgia fans that are mad they didn't get in, I get it, but I think you're wrong. I think it's smart not to put Georgia in the 4.
Yeah.
They just lost, and the one thing that's tough is that they are the 2-time defending champs.
Yeah.
So you kind of would like to see them back in there again, but I get why they're not in there.
I think if Alabama would have been ranked in the top 5 and beat Georgia, that there's no way they would have been able to kick Georgia out of that.
Right.
Top 4.
Right.
But who knows, man?
Yeah.
Who knows? That's a tough business. That's why I do like the 12-team playoff. I'm excited about the 12 team.
I think 12's a little much. I liked 8, but I will take a 12 team over 4 any day.
I liked 8 as well. Like, especially like, let's not jump the gun. Let's do 8 teams. If we start getting, a product on the field and on TV with these 8 teams to where there's 4 more teams that people are making a case for, like right now, like, well, you know what I mean? Like, this team's ranked 12th, but they beat such and such and such and such and such and such.
Yeah.
But I think the 8 would have been perfect.
Yeah, and so from what I understand, it's going to be starting next year. It's going to be a 12-team playoff. The first 4 seeds get a bye, and then I believe the first round is going to be played at the home team's actual stadium.
That makes sense.
And then I'm not sure if the second round's going to be like that. I imagine it would. That way those 4 seeds that had a bye week get a home game also.
Now, are these games going to be considered bowl games when they get into would be like the divisional round?
I believe if they're not doing this, I believe the smart thing to do would be to have the first and second rounds of the playoff be home games for the home team at their home stadium. And then the last, what would that be, 2 or 3 rounds after that?
Be the 3rd round.
Yeah, so I think the last 2 rounds have those be bowl games.
All right.
That way, and have those rotate. Have those
and one
be
of
the
those,
big,
and one of those 2 would be the national championship game.
And rotate.
I like that. So you have the Sugar Bowl, the Rose Bowl,
the Rose
Orange
Bowl. Yeah.
I like that. We'll have to look into that to see what they're actually going to do with that.
Yeah, but I know next year it's going to...
Because Nick Saban was on ESPN talking about like saving the bowl games and making them to where they're more relevant than they are right now, especially in the championships.
Yeah, but I do think that next year, with it being 12 teams, there's going to be, I believe, every conference champion is going to go.
Has to.
Possibly the runner-up, But I'll tell you another thing that people aren't going to like is, and maybe I'm wrong, because the SEC wasn't as strong this year as they've been in the past, but
still strong. But
you watch next year, there's going to be 3 teams in the 12-team playoff, and everyone is not going to be happy with that.
Yeah.
If there was a 12-team playoff right now, I believe there would be 3 teams in. It would be Georgia, Alabama, and Missouri, and possibly Ole Miss.
I was going to say Ole Miss you can make a statement for as well.
But I think every conference champion should get to go to the 12.
Yeah.
Possibly the runner-up of that conference, depending on their record. And then have a few miscellaneous, at big, if you will, at big schools. But I also think that there's going to be only 4 big conferences very soon in college football with all this conference mix-up going on.
When we look at the ACC.
I believe for sure it's going to be SEC, Big Ten. Those are guaranteed. They're not going anywhere. The ACC is odd because you got this talk of Clemson and Florida State either going to the SEC or the Big Ten in the years coming.
So
A
who
lot
would that
of
leave it to Pac-12?
well, the Pac-12. This was the last year.
This was the last
Yeah,
year for
so-
the Pac-12?
4 Pac-12 schools are going to the Big Ten, and the other ones are going to the Big 12. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
I like that.
It was pretty cool. They had the Pac-12 championship game on Friday night between Oregon and Washington, and they had all the Pac-12 mascots on the sideline cheering them on because it was the last.
I didn't even notice
It was the last Pac-12 championship game ever. I thought that was pretty cool.
That's dope.
Yeah. Yeah,
That'd
college.
be big for Washington to win the national championship as
It
a
would be.
Pac-12 with the.
Yeah.
That'd be crazy.
The last year of the Pac-12 and have them win it. That'd be pretty sick.
That'd be good.
Yeah.
How many people's gonna be pissed off if Michigan wins, man?
I think Michigan.
Just all the Ohio State fans.
Yeah. I don't know if that, the Spygate for Michigan was true or not, but I do know that the last 3 or 4 games they weren't spying, and they still won them.
Yeah.
And they beat Ohio State.
And that was a classic.
This is the
game,
third year
man.
in a row. God, it was a good game.
That's so good.
That was a great game. But I'm not an Ohio State fan at all. I'm not an Ohio State fan hater, but I don't care for them. But I'm not mad to see Michigan on top of the Big Ten again.
Me neither.
It's been a while for them,
It has been.
but I'm excited to see different teams in the playoff this year.
Yeah, me too.
So
It's gonna be good. Who's
Michigan
playing,
was
who's
in
playing
last year.
first? Is it
both games are going to be on the first.
uh-huh.
Alabama, Michigan is at 4, which that should be the late game if we're being honest.
Yeah.
Alabama, Michigan's at 4, and then at I think it's 7:30 or 8. It's Texas, Washington. Yeah. I think that might end up being a shootout.
It might end up being a shootout.
That Michigan Alabama game, I could see both teams scoring less than 20 in that one. Both of those defenses are pretty solid, especially Michigan.
Want to do picks?
Yeah,
Who you got?
I'll have. I think I'll say Washington beats Texas, and I wouldn't be surprised if Alabama beats Michigan, but I think Michigan's going to pull it out.
Same.
And then I think Michigan will beat Washington in the championship.
I like Michigan and Texas.
I think.
But Washington's hard to bet against.
Yeah, they've had a great year. Heisman Trophy candidate quarterback.
Yep. He's good.
Yeah, he's very good. But I think Michigan's going to win it, man.
I think so too.
Yeah,
I think Michigan will take the
I
whole
wouldn't hate
thing.
seeing that either.
They know how to play under any circumstance
Right.
against any team, and they get their receivers with 5-6 yards of space, like so
I
fast.
tell you what, if Alabama
Their
doesn't,
offense looks good.
if Alabama doesn't win it, everyone's going to be like, "Oh, Florida State should have been
Yeah,
for the rest of the year until next year." But yeah, so
they're gonna have to make first game of the season next year, Alabama versus Florida State.
yeah. Shoot, who knows? Florida State might be coming to SEC pretty soon. I'm actually kind of surprised they didn't announce it.
Come get you some of this SEC. Come get you some of this.
They've done well.
Yeah.
They beat LSU the last couple times they played them, but I was kind of surprised that they didn't announce Florida State or Clemson coming to the SEC this year.
So they are looking at Florida State and Clemson for the SEC. Then the rest of the teams being divided between the Big 10 and the Big 12.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's going to be.
That'd be good. So then,
I think it's going to end up being, and this ain't going to be next year. This might be years in the future, but I believe it's going to be the SEC, the Big 10, the Big 12, and then the Conference USA or the American Conference miscellaneous that's got the like the Southern Miss and Air Force and all those in there, because I think it's inevitable that Notre Dame goes to the Big Ten.
They got to go.
They're right there.
They got to.
Yeah, they already play Ohio State every year. They play, I believe they play Purdue every year. So
they wouldn't have to change their schedule much.
No.
That's going to be good, man. That starts next year.
No, not the Big Four conferences. I'm saying that's my prediction for in the future is what it's going to end up being.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah.
But Texas and Oklahoma are SEC played next year.
Next year, yep. And South Carolina plays at Oklahoma next year.
Oh, great.
Yeah. And we got a pretty tough schedule, as always. Not as tough as this year's was, but it's
tough
not
being,
far.
It's
not
tough
far
being a
from it.
Gamecock, guys. I'll tell you that. But we're here. We're still here. And
I've been
Spencer
debating on
Rattler's
if I'm
gone.
going to raise my son as a Gamecock fan.
Let him pick, man.
Dude.
Let him decide.
The misery.
They got to let him decide.
Yeah. But, hey, it's like we always say, wait till next year.
Until next year. See, we got a new quarterback coming next year.
I think we're going to use the guy that's back up right now. He's played in a few
What was his
games.
name, Doty?
No, I can't remember his name. He's super fast, though.
Huh.
He's nasty with it.
All right.
But
He's the one that's going to bring us a SEC championship next year.
I don't know. Half our team left because of the portal.
Yeah, I know. What do you think about Deion's boys? Rumors about transfer portal to get out of Colorado.
Nah, ain't happening.
There's no way, right?
Nah, it ain't happening.
Prime is not having it.
Unless Prime leaves. But I think he stays.
Prime ain't going
And you
nowhere.
know what, man? I'll say this. I think Colorado got set up to fail this year by how bad ESPN was all over
Oh,
him
man.
the whole offseason
And,
leading
dude,
up. And the first 3 games
Yeah.
or the first 2 games. What?
Dude, that was
Yeah,
a
the
movie.
first
That was
3
a
games.
movie.
The first 3 games, they win all 3 games, and they're like, ESPN's all over it. Love
Like,
it.
bro, these boys is gonna be all
Yeah.
every Heisman candidate on this
Yeah.
team. They going to the playoff. Alabama and Georgia don't want no smoke.
Yeah, that's how they were acting.
And the crazy thing is, right? I remember during the offseason, like when people were saying, "What's realistic
right.
for the Colorado Buffalo season?" They're like, if they win 4 games, like they're good.
Yeah,
like, that's
they only
good. That's
won
what-
1 game
but they
last
just
year.
won 3
Yeah.
too fast. Like if they would have been able to spread those out, that first game against TCU though, like
You know what? I've thought about this, and I'll say it. I don't think you can judge how good or how bad a team is by that first game because
no way.
both teams have had all summer to prepare for that first game.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that's a big reason why the Jets beat the Bills in Week 1.
Yep.
And then, obviously they lost Aaron Rodgers and they had bad after that. I believe that's why Colorado beat TCU because TCU, even though they were in the national championship game last year, they ain't as good as they were.
No.
And them being ranked 15 to start the season was probably a little generous. And that's, Colorado beat them, and that's why it was such a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
Their
Colorado,
stats were so good.
yeah, Colorado won 1 game last year. They won 4 this year. It's all uphill.
Yeah.
Every game
They're
was
good.
sold out.
Y'all overshot them in the media,
Yeah,
man.
the
Y'all shouldn't have
I'll
done them boys like that.
I'll tell you what, the college is happy. Every
Oh,
game was
yeah.
sold out. There's more.
Dude, the merch
Yeah,
sales.
dude. Yeah, all that. The college is happy that what Deion did this year. So
Oh, yeah.
I think he'll stay.
Did you hear his comments during a press conference the other day about the transfer portal? What he said about some of the guys?
What did he say?
He said, these boys can't be loyal to their girlfriends.
Oh,
what makes you
man.
think they're going to be loyal to this girl? I was like, oh, coach. What?
Matt Rule, who's the coach for Nebraska, he was the coach for the Panthers. Thank God we fired him.
That's about what he was coaching?
Yeah.
We ain't had a coach since Cam
Yeah.
Newton was the quarterback.
Yeah, Ron Rivera, baby.
I'm telling you.
But Matt Rule had a press conference the other day, and they asked him about the possibility of picking someone up in the transfer portal, and he brought up a good point with these NIL deals. He said, man, if you want to get a quarterback in the transfer portal, it's going to cost you $2.5 million to get a decent quarterback in the transfer portal because of the NIL deals. And don't get me wrong, I'm glad these guys are getting paid.
Me too.
I think it's overdue, but this transfer portal stuff, man,
That's weird.
it's weird that a guy will play 4 years of college football on 4 different teams.
Mm-hmm.
And don't get me wrong, if
It's going to end up biting some of them boys in the rear in the end, man.
yeah, the transfer portal is really cool because if you're a guy who went to a small high school
Right.
and you're really good and you're just a little undersized or maybe your footwork wasn't right there,
Right.
so you weren't a 3 or 4 star or 5 star guy.
So you go out there your freshman year.
You go play for a junior college or you go play for a smaller school, like Coastal Carolina. You go play for Coastal Carolina or a college or, Eastern Carolina or something, and you ball out.
There.
Why wouldn't you want to transfer to a bigger school, a Big
Why
Ten
wouldn't
school, a SEC school, just to, build your draft stock? But I do think it gets ridiculous when these guys are transferring 4 and 5 times.
They should have a limit on that.
I think
They
2
need
or
to-
3 times.
Yeah.
2 or 3 times.
And
That's
some
plenty,
of these guys,
yeah.
their team will have a bad season, like their freshman year. Like, all right, I'm going somewhere else.
So
bad season, going somewhere else.
I brought up a good point the other day too. I wonder how this NIL money works because, for instance, let's say you pay a guy, you get him all these NIL deals to come play on your team, and then he transfers. Does he get to keep all that money?
I don't know how that works.
I don't know how.
And I don't know if they have regulations on how they can spend.
Hey, we
it.
might sound dumb right now, but I don't get that part.
No, that's why we're doing this, man. We're trying to connect with y'all.
Yeah.
But another thing I was wondering is the NIL money. Like, can the schools use that just to give you cash money to get you to sign to come play for them?
I'm not 100% sure on how that works either.
These are the questions we have as fans, man. We need to know this stuff.
Eventually, because you got obviously the bigger schools, the Georgias, the Alabama, the Texas is probably the most wealthy university with their boosters and stuff.
Yep.
Do they have an unlimited amount of NIL money and NIL hookups for that?
I don't know.
I mean, eventually, are we going to have to put a salary cap like the NFL? But I don't.
Maybe.
I don't know. Like I said, this might have nothing to do with how it actually works, but
these are good questions, man. I'd like to know.
Yeah.
Like, what exactly is that money for, and how can it all legally be used?
Right.
Because do you think everybody that's working for every university knows all of this? Because if not, like, it can come back years from now, like, hey, this was illegal, that was illegal. You can't do this, you can't do that. Not only that, did you see that some of these NIL deals these schools are getting these kids to sign are no different than 360 deals in the music industry? They're literally owning a right to that player for the rest of their career with their advertisements, with their endorsement deals, with their NFL contracts. They have to pay a percentage to that school's university for their whole life.
Man,
there's already kids suing the NCAA for this right now, and that's something.
That's wild, man.
That's why these are good
17,
questions.
18, 19-year-old kids dealing with millions of dollars.
I have no idea. Parents, like blue-collar working people, don't know nothing about
Especially,
all this.
man, if whenever I was 18, coming from where I came from, if you said million, don't care how many after that, 2, 3, 1 million, I'm signing.
Boom, there you go.
Yep.
And that's what we're telling them, like, hey, well, you give us 30% of everything you make for the rest of your career, 70,000. Now, out of 100,000, still better than making nothing.
Right.
And they convince them that, like, you're not going to have anything without this. It's just like how they do young artists, like, signing deals in music, man. It's crazy.
Right. Yeah, that's wild. But, yeah, college football changing really fast. And some of it's good, but some of it's bad.
There were a lot more teams that were good and had a chance this year than in the past.
Yeah.
So that is a good thing. So, Bill, big news. This is what we do. Promo time. What we locking in right now, 2024 SATU Music
Let's
Live.
see, we don't have lineup confirmed for sure whether it'll be you performing or if it'll just be us booking some metal and hardcore bands. But we've got a date at the Rooster in Gastonia on March 8th. Once again, we're not 100% sure on what that lineup's going to be.
It's going to be sick, I can tell you that.
Yeah, March 8th, that's going to be my 32nd birthday.
March 8th, 32nd birthday?
32nd birthday.
Wow.
Getting old, man.
Wow.
So, yeah, come hang out with your boy at the Rooster March 8th. It's going to be my birthday show. I'll say this, whenever, talking back on the small venues, when New Brooklyn moves to 500 capacity, I've got a game plan to try and bring in a couple of bigger bands. I got to get
that. That's another thing about them moving, though. Is like, what's that going to do for, like, I mean, if we blow this show out into December, going into that new music venue, they're definitely gonna book.
Yeah,
they have to.
Yeah.
But what's the you got a master plan? Can you share it with us, or are we gonna keep?
No, I don't have a master plan yet, but I've got I've got a few in the back of my head that I'm gonna try to hit up and try to cut a deal on how much it would cost to get certain people to perform and whatnot. But yeah, I think New Brooklyn moving. I was very upset at first, but I'm getting more enlightened to it because of the game plan can be more widespread with that bigger capacity and whatnot. But man,
so what do you reckon about 100 people look like in a 500 person venue? That's still a party.
If they're next to the stage, if they're right next to the stage, it's a great time. Shoot, New Brooklyn right now is only 250, and when 75 people are in there, it feels crowded.
I know.
You know? So
I know.
I don't think it'd be much different.
No.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
So that's good news.
It is.
Yeah.
Because if you're saying 500 capacity, like that's 500 people shoulder to shoulder, like crammed in there.
Crammed in there. Yeah. So
it's gonna be good.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be great, man.
It's gonna be good. You put 350 people in there, dude. That's what you want.
Hey, that's perfect.
That's what you want.
Perfect.
We can still breathe and ain't gotta smell each other's mosh pit ass sweat all night.
Sweaty bros, man.
Sweaty bros.
Sweaty bros out there.
Mosh pits and the sweaty bros.
Yep. Oh man. Oh, dude.
What?
We went to a hardcore show at New Brooklyn the other night.
Bro, I wanted to come so
dude,
bad.
it was such a good show, man. It was served by Dawn, Mouth Breather, Fleshgate, and Omen Killer. Man, all those bands freaking slapped, dude.
Did they?
So good. Fleshgate, I'd never heard of them, dude. They opened the show, and they were like, they gave me like death metal, almost not as hard, but almost Cannibal Corpse vibes. But they had beatdowns, and breakdowns in their songs, dude. So it was like death metal hardcore.
What'd you say they were called?
Fleshgate.
Fleshgate.
Yeah, and I've already hit them up about they're gonna do one of those shows in March.
All right.
So hopefully, let me not speak too soon. Hopefully they'll do one of those shows in March. But
and see, this is what we do. We hear about new bands, we automatically put them on the playlist, man.
Yep.
That's how you support. Look
so
at
many good bands.
Follow. Only 142 monthly listeners. We'll get that thing up by next year.
Yep. Shout out Fleshgate.
Shout
Look
out to Fleshgate.
Awesome band.
Fleshgate, everybody.
Yep. Awesome band.
Good stuff.
Had patches for $5.
$5 patches?
Bought 2 of them.
Did you?
Yep. Bought 2 of them.
They had 2 different logos?
No,
okay.
Same patches. I just bought 2 of them because I was like, here's a 10.
Yeah. One for Lane's vest.
Yeah.
Whenever he starts going to shows.
Yeah. But, hell yeah, dude.
Good stuff.
Yeah, man.
Good stuff.
Who you got winning the Royal Rumble this year?
Ooh. Royal Rumble this year?
Yeah. This coming year. Let's see. We just had CM Punk return. I'm not hype about that, but it is what it is.
I ain't hype
Randy
about
Orton's
it
back.
neither. I'm hype about Randy Orton being back. Did you see?
I think that's one of the reasons why I wasn't so hype about the CM Punk return was that it overshadowed Randy Orton's return.
Yeah.
And no, you
like I get
it
was in Chicago, but
well, if that's the case, then don't have Randy Orton come back that night.
That's what I was thinking. Have him come back on Raw the next night.
Or the week before where they said that he was going to be the 5th member or whatever.
Yeah.
You know? But
yeah. But the Rumble, I like Randy Orton winning the Rumble. I could see that happening, but looking at it, like who would headline WrestleMania with Roman Reigns? Could it be Cody again?
I think it's got to be.
It's got to be.
It's
got to
be. If anyone,
Cody's been too over for too long.
Yeah, and he deserves it, and I think if anyone's gonna knock down the bloodline, it needs to be Cody.
It's got to be Cody.
He should have done it last year.
He fits the storyline.
Yeah, and WWE's good about doing the same match back-to-back Manias.
Yeah,
they're good about that.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
it helps build a nice, long, healthy storyline as well, which I really like. A lot of people want the storylines to flip.
Yeah,
quickly, a lot of people, they don't understand. They're trying to build a forever.
A lot of people are upset with this bloodline. How long it's been going on?
I
love it. I think it's great. I do think it's it's getting to that point though where it needs to. But I think WrestleMania would be the perfect time.
Yeah, I feel like isn't Roman supposed to be like getting ready to make the transfer?
The rumor is that when Roman drops the belt, apparently, I hope it's not true because I love him in the ring, but apparently when he drops the belt, he's gonna take WWE's going to take a back seat to his acting career from what I understand.
That's what but it's that time. Like, that's how it happens,
he's getting older, like,
Hulk Hogan did it. Andre the Giant did it. The Rock, obviously.
The Rock's murdering that.
Killing it.
Yeah, love or hate his movies.
Dude, and the movie that they're recording apparently has Malachi Black, Aleister Black. Is going to be like the bad guy in the movie, and Roman Reigns is going to be the good guy.
Huh.
It's like a remake of an 80s comic, like Soldier or something.
About that.
Yeah, dude. That's why he's been missing time. They're doing like screen readings. And
by the time this will come out, speaking of wrestling movies, the Iron Claw is coming out later this month.
Man.
I can't wait.
Dude, it's going to be a tough one. It's going to be so good.
They interviewed Ric Flair and asked him what he thought about it, and he said he thinks it's 20 years too late, and I agree. I think this movie should have came out. He said
It is 20 years too late.
Yeah, he said it'd be more relevant if it had come out 20 years ago.
Because this movie coming out, like even like wrestling fans today, a lot of people don't know who the Von Erichs were. That was a long time ago. Like hardcore wrestling fans do, but how do you get an audience to come see it that hasn't? I guess putting Zac Efron in it and saying he's jacked in wrestling.
And Jeremy Allen White now.
So good.
You know, all the chicks are all over him, and I get it.
He's Lip.
Yeah, he's Lip from Shameless.
He's
the greatest TV adaptation of a chef ever.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
He's Lip. He's the chef. And now he's a Von Erich.
Yeah. And if you don't know this, if you're a wrestling fan, or even if you're not a wrestling fan, because the story is tragic and it's
so good.
Go watch Vice's Dark Side of the Ring, the Von Erich story. I believe it's season 1. I believe it's either season 1 or 2. I believe it's season 1.
And it's a quick watch. It's not too much. It's like 45 minutes.
Yeah, it's 4 brothers that were professional wrestlers, and man, there's only one of them still alive, and all of them had tragic lives.
Tragic, but that's definitely where if you watch that, you can YouTube that. You can watch that one on YouTube. I'm pretty sure. Shout out to YouTube.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll definitely make you want to go watch that movie.
Yeah, the movie's gonna be great. It's got some great actors playing the Von Erichs, and
MJF's playing one of them. You see that?
I think I'm not sure if he's playing the actual on screen one or if he's the stunt double, because I know I saw him with a wig on, and I was like, there's no way that his face is being on screen with that wig on.
You're probably right.
But he's for sure at least one of the stunt guys doing the actual moves and whatnot in the ring.
That's good.
Yeah.
Did you see who trained him?
Chavo Guerrero. Man, Chavo's one of the most underrated figures of wrestling ever, dude.
He was always so good.
He's all this, man. The whole Guerrero family.
Mm-hmm. I love that Dom is like,
dude, he's killing it, man.
He's killing it, but he's paying how much. Like Eddie would have loved this.
Yeah, Eddie would have loved this, man. Hell yeah, dude. That's what's up, man.
So Rumble picks, we going either. I'll go Randy Orton. You go Cody.
I think CM Punk's gonna win it, and he's gonna go after Seth Rollins.
Ooh.
I think Seth Rollins.
They're definitely building that.
I think Seth
Do
Rollins.
You think that's a work?
Yeah. Seth's so good, dude.
Yeah,
I think his little fit he threw at Survivor Series when the cameras were off was all a work. But I think Seth, CM Punk headline the first night of WrestleMania. They both get their headline at WrestleMania that they both deserve.
Yeah.
And then I think Roman versus hopefully Cody. But who is that? Bully Ray, a.k.a. Bubba Ray Dudley.
Yeah, man.
His podcast, you want to know what he wants to see at WrestleMania?
What does he say?
He said he wants to see Paul Heyman standing in the middle of the ring with Roman Reigns, CM Punk, and Brock Lesnar all staring down.
Dude.
That'd be sick.
That'd be sick. That would be sick.
Because it's in Philly.
And check this out.
That's where ECW started.
Oh,
that's why Bully Ray said that. He was like, Paul Heyman's.
All right.
Paul Heyman's.
I can see that happening.
Paul Heyman's definitely probably going to headline the Hall of Fame this year. It's in Philly. I think it's the right move. I think Paul Heyman goes to the Hall of Fame, and I think they put Bray Wyatt in too.
Got to.
I think so.
I think they do as well. Well, Paul Heyman headliner should definitely be.
Yeah, for sure.
A thing.
Yeah, 100%. Greatest manager of all time.
And if Roman drops the belt at Mania and does his movie thing, that could possibly set up a CM Punk Paul Heyman reunion.
Or Brock Lesnar. Or both.
Oh man. Oh man. Heel CM Punk and Brock Lesnar with Paul Heyman.
Yeah. Wrestling's lit right now.
Yeah. We're really just kind of dorks, man.
Yeah.
But it's great. It's a fun life. Speaking of wrestling, why don't we shout out independent wrestlers? Who's looking good right now, man, out here in our scene?
Let's see. Our boy James Johnson.
Killing it.
Daddy-daughter dance tag team. I mean, they're killing it right now.
Yeah.
The usual suspects, man. Billy Brash is still out here killing it. James Drake, JD Drake.
JD.
He's killing it.
See Elijah Proctor still doing his thing?
Yeah, I believe so. I believe Elijah Proctor's still out there.
His gimmick came a long way.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, he killed it. Yeah, man, shout out to Independent Wrestling, PCW out of Kershaw County, South Carolina.
Yeah, man.
Shout out. Those were my dudes, man. Shane Dorr and
every month in
Elliot
Camden
and all them. Yeah, every month in Camden.
I love that for
killing
them,
it, man. Yeah, and Camden loves them.
They love them.
Yeah, Camden's been showing up and showing out at all
Dude,
the shows, dude.
Their parking lot packed at
Yeah,
that place
slam,
every
man.
time.
They've done a great job.
Good.
Shane and James, all those guys that were there since the beginning, man. I'm really proud of those guys. Those are my homies.
Yeah, man. Yeah, Camden people, man. Make sure you go check out the PCW shows.
Yeah.
You know what I love about
I would like to have one of those guys on as one of our guests in the future, for sure. Shane
definitely.
or James or both, or,
Oh, yeah.
all those guys.
You guys see it. Yeah, that'd be awesome, dude.
Yeah, and we could do like just a episode about wrestling topics and whatnot.
Yeah.
And,
that's what we do, man. Music.
And our buddy Eddie Ruger out of Greensboro has made a lot of these guys' interest music.
Yeah.
A lot of their graphics, their videos they walk out to, man, he's killing it.
Yeah.
I was at a PCW show, and I swore half the guys had interest music by Eddie Ruger. It was awesome.
That is awesome.
Yeah. Shout out Eddie Ruger.
Yeah, man. We love you, Ruger.
Yeah. I think that's about it.
That's about it, man.
That was our first episode in the books.
First one down.
Like I said, we're just trying to get our feet wet. Follow Jones X McShine.
Yeah, we're at Jones X McShine on all platforms: TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, anything that you use.
The next episode, we're going to try and have up a SATU podcast email, and eventually we can have you guys write in, ask questions, give your opinions on topics from the week before or whatnot.
Yeah,
so
we're definitely going to have the email set up, man. We're gonna try to upgrade it a little bit every episode for you guys.
Yep. So
it's gonna be good, man. We're talking music, we're talking sports, and we're talking life, Bubba.
A little everything.
A little bit of everything.
Except politics. Fuck that.
No, we're not doing religion and politics. Mainly, I don't know if we're qualified.
I'm not
qualified either.
Nor do I really care that much about either one
I
of those
don't.
subjects.
I don't pay it attention. If it's not a funny video of a politician looking stupid, I don't really care.
Which
too
is
much
all
about
of them,
it.
pretty much.
I love every one of them. If we do politics, that'll be about it.
You said doo-doo. And on that note, we're going to sign off.
We're out of here, guys.
Much love. We'll see y'all next time.